So something that is probably not within the discussion here today is, what is the opportunity for these technologies broadly to pose environmental benefits? So what we've done here, and I'm sorry if you can't see it quite so well, we've compared the opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions using renewable energy to the opportunity for reducing greenhouse gas emissions using ICT broadly. And what we've found from studies that have been conducted in the field already is that we can actually derive the same benefits for the environment from the use and the deployment of ICT than we could from renewable energy itself. In some instances, there's a bit of an overlap because within one of the bars you'll see on the right-hand side, that goes to the greater deployment of renewable energy. But this is a huge deal. This really means that the technology set and the industry in which that you work in is just as important for reducing greenhouse gas emissions as the renewable energy industry. So take a minute to think about that. You probably don't think of yourselves as environmentalists, but in fact, in some ways you are, because the work that you're doing is just as important to reducing emissions as those people who are producing and installing solar panels or wind turbines. I think it's a realization that we've found is not really taken its toll yet, and we're not really sure what the effects would be if I think the IT industry or the M2M subset of that industry really looked at themselves as a major contributor to global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So one question that we asked within our research report is, okay, so according to all the analysts, there's this great opportunity, and obviously it intersects with the opportunity that we've identified for reducing emissions, but why isn't it happening yet? We've seen uptake of M2M technologies as being very slow compared to what the analysts have predicted. So taking a look at this study conducted by Forrester Research in 2011, we see that attitudes from enterprises for uptake of these technologies hasn't been entirely positive, with the majority saying that they're not interested or they have no plans at the moment, even though they are interested. One thing to point out, though, is that this study is from 2011, and from everything that we've heard today, I think it's safe to conclude that this is very much outdated. I think just over the time span of a year ago when I started working on this issue, we've seen tremendous progress in terms of how the industry is addressing some of the barriers preventing the scale-up of these technologies. So within our report, we again then asked the question of, okay, why aren't these technologies being deployed to a greater extent? If there's such an opportunity for businesses to profit from it, and there's such a great opportunity for the environment as well. So we identified a few fundamental barriers that are preventing the scale-up of these technologies, and we have done this through surveys and through a comprehensive literature review. And to those of you who work in the industry, much of this probably isn't new. We looked at the fact that there's a very fragmented value chain for these technologies, with a lot of different players needing to come together to bring a solution to market. We looked at the issue of standards, and we heard quite a lot about that today, and some very interesting perspectives. And an important issue that we focused on was a lack of performance data when it comes to the companies offering M2M solutions making a quantifiable argument for why a client should go ahead and purchase such a technology set. I think, as I mentioned before, there are significant communication and marketing challenges when it comes to really breaking down what we're actually talking about. And that's something that we've tried to do through our research and through some of the media created around it, as well as with our partners at AT&T, who are devoting a lot of marketing resources to this issue. And another important issue is just the sales model and the long sales cycle, particularly when it comes to the mobile network operators who are accustomed to a very different sales model than what they're seeing with new product offerings with M2M. So just to
touch on very quickly the M2M value chain. We have looked at this from the perspective of, what are the key causes preventing this from coming together more clearly. And from hearing a lot of the presentations today, I won't really dwell on this because I think there's been huge advancements in the thinking behind how companies partner and to work on making this issue not have such great effect. But if anyone's interested in looking at that further, definitely let me know. We then set about to produce some key insights on how you overcome these barriers. I think the first one is quite obvious, and it's happening by and large. The standards issue, I think there's not much we can do about that, though we did provide some insights. But where we really saw a key need and an area where we feel that we can play a role is on the data side. So how do we gather and utilize performance data for driving sales of M2M technologies? And also, how do we accelerate the thinking within the mobile network operators on reforming business models and sales strategies? So I would encourage you to take a look at our report. Hopefully these recommendations are still relevant. And we'd be very interested in speaking with you about how we could work together on seeing these implemented. So just a brief note on the Carbon War Room and how we work. The Carbon War Room it's a global nonprofit organization. It was founded in 2009 by a consortium of influential entrepreneurs, most notably Sir Richard Branson of the Virgin Group. Our role is really to identify opportunities for investment in mature technologies that can be deployed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on a large scale and do so profitably. So what we see today is that there are a whole range of technologies in pretty much every sector of the economy where you can reduce emissions and do so while deriving economic benefits for the people who invest in it, and also for large companies and down to the level of the individual consumer. So we try to figure out if there is an opportunity to derive economic benefits from the deployment of these technologies. What are the market failures or market barriers that are preventing the scale-up of these technologies? So from a research perspective, we look to identify and quantify what those opportunities are, and to identify what the barriers are. So I think you'll see that logical flow within our M2M report. And we produce similar research on a wide variety of issues ranging from sustainable agriculture to heavy industries such as the cement industry and steel. We're really trying to cast a broad net and drive attention towards the range of solutions where investors can actually make money and do good as well. Who are we? Our president is Jose Maria Figueres, whose voice you heard on the animation. Jose Maria is the former president of Costa Rica and all-around great guy. Our COO comes from the Virgin Group as former CEO of Virgin Mobile South Africa. So we were very lucky to have him with us in this project and benefit from his expertise. Our founders are a range of very interesting entrepreneurs, and our board members are also very successful entrepreneurs as well. So what I would like to do is I'd like to invite Ryan to give his presentation now with what we've just discussed in mind, because I think what we're seeing is that AECOM is coming at this issue from a sustainability perspective in some sense, and I think it's one of the few firms that is doing so. I think you'll see from Ryan's presentation that the work that they're doing really encompasses the range of opportunities and sectors where these technologies can be deployed and in a way that will actually yield tangible benefits for the environment. And after that, we can take some questions. Thank you.